All right, so this one's pretty dense. I'll try and go through it concisely, but also in depth. This is something that I'm a lot more comfortable with, just because this is most of the balancing that I do. And without further ado, by the way, sorry, one second. Without further ado, this is going to be split up into multiple parts, just because these are meaty topics and I want to do them justice. So yeah, moving on. So what we're going to be talking about in this one is, there we go, is the weapon, projectile, and damage tags. I'm going to focus mostly on the weapon one in this one, but just to give you an idea, everything that's going on in the weapon tag is covering, like the model, pretty much everything about the handling. You can see a list of all the stuff here, right up to including the projectile that comes out, the sound, the lights, all that kind of stuff. The projectile tag covers everything about the projectile in flight, right up to and including the point of impact. So things like the damage effect, again, lights, sounds, that kind of stuff. The various functions, range, velocity, arc, material response, which I'll get into when I talk about globals. And then there is the damage effect, which is kind of, pretty much what it sounds like. So this is things like what's its damage type, how much damage is it doing, seat transfer, which I'll talk about when we get into vehicles, and the AoE effect, if it's, okay, we're good. AoE effect, if we're talking about a explosive weapon or area of effect. So let's be done with that one for now and talk about the weapon tag. So I'm gonna get to this one just heat, aim assist, and air and recoil, just air, because there's a lot going on here, and like I said, want to do it justice. So to start with, I'm gonna look at heat, and so just basically what heat is it's used for most plasma weapons. For example, I'm going to use the numbers here from the plasma rifle, and you can find these in the .weapon tag, and I will do a follow-up video showing where these are in Guerilla, but for now, just roll with me. You can always come back, and yes, there is going to be some math in this video, so if you're too young for PEMDAS or BEDMAS, you are too young for Halo, or you just need to learn PEMDAS. I'm not your dad. Okay, so age is between 0 and 1, with 1 being 0 battery. I know that doesn't make sense, but think about it like this. You start from 0, you go to 1. Once you hit 1, you can't shoot anymore. That's pretty much how it goes. Same thing with heat generated. So there's age, and there's also heat. Now heat covers the things like, when your bar fills up and it blinks at you and, vents plasma all over your hands and you can't shoot for a while, that's heat. Age is like literally the maximum battery capacity of the plasma rifle or whatever. So age generated per round, this is just saying, like how much age is, pretty self-explanatory. So the total number of shots you can get from a plasma rifle, for example, is 1/A, and so when you punch those numbers in, which I'm sure you can, you get 400. And then I'm going to look at the next couple ones right here before I move on to this next formula. Heat generated per round, that is like how much your bar fills up per shot. And in this case, it's 0.15, and then R is the rate of fire in rounds per second. In this case, I just approximated it to 9 because I felt like it. And so the time to overheat, oh, actually, sorry, one more here. I remembered I had to add this one in at the last second. heat loss per second, and in the case of the plasma rifle, it's 0.825 something, I believe. Let's see. Bear with me. Oh, this is further up. Oh, yeah. So here we go. For the plasma rifle, it is 0. Let me put it down here. 0.8525. So what that means is every second, when it's not overheated, this is how much of its heat it's losing. So you can approximate from this that, like, you know, if you were at like 99% overheat, like at heat capacity, it would take you a little over a second to get back down to 0. So the formula for time to overheat, and the reason why I'm giving you these things is because if you want to like change the properties between the red and blue plasma rifles, and you want one to be able to fire for longer or overheat faster, that's what these formulas are for. So the time to overheat, you can figure out by like just plugging in these numbers. And the time to overheat is, what is this? It comes out to something around, I think, like 2 seconds, roughly, which when you think about it in game, if you hold down the trigger for 2 seconds, usually it overheats. And then shots to overheat, this is one I just included for fun, but basically it's just going to tell you how many shots before it overheats. This is all assuming continuous fire and no stopping. So yeah, learn these formulas or don't. Again, I just figured I would kind of explain heat a little bit better. Moving on to aim assist. So this is pretty simple. Auto aim pulls, like bullets are pulled towards enemies, as you can see here, down here, and in magnetism, cursor sticks to enemies. So this is when, you know, say for example, you were strafing back and forth here, your cursor would actually stick. So magnetism, it's not like magnetism doesn't do anything, it's just that like auto aim is the one that's actually pulling bullets to the target, even if you're not really like aim directly at them. And each of these have angles, distance, and fall off distance. And pretty much what these say is just like, you know, like how far does this work? Like how far out does it work up until? When does it start not working as good? And what's the angle from the target that you know, you're gonna actually start experiencing these auto aim or magnetism effects. Okay, and if you don't know what this is supposed to be a little brute firing at you. He's not your friend. And then error. Okay, again, lots of numbers, math, I promise. If you're struggling with trigonometry, this actually might help it make sense. Basically, error, there is a minimum value that's always around. In the case of the assault rifle, it is, I think, 0.1, and this is in degrees. And then there is the low end of error and the high end of error, which is 3 degrees. So there's also an acceleration time and a deceleration time. The acceleration time just states how long of continuous fire is it going to take from your accuracy going to go from low to high, and then deceleration is just the inverse of that. How long is it going to take you to go from high to low? Now, why is this useful? Well, effective range. So say you want to change how the assault rifle or SMG behave, but you're not sure how to be changing the the error values on them. Say, for example, you want the SMG to be a bullet hose that only works out to like 15 world units, and you want the assault rifle to be a bit better and work out to 25 world units. You're going to need to do some math to figure out what your error angle is, and I'm going to try and explain this because I did draw a nice picture where we have the Master Chief and a brute who is his target, and he's confused because he's seeing all these letters and numbers, and Master Chief doesn't do math. He does violence. So here is the generic formula. Maybe I'll use a more noticeable color. Here's the the generic formula that you can move around. Tan of theta, in this case, tan of theta is our error angle, so that's, you know, this guy, this one, or this one. So say, for example, you want to know what the effective range is when you're at full auto. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to find out what your, you know what, let me take a second. Yeah, okay, it's math time. Here we have a beautiful right angle triangle, as you can see by this nice square in the corner. And why I'm using tan is because tan of this angle is equal to the opposite angle over the adjacent. So if you want it to be effective to 1 world unit in radius, because the hitbox of a brute is 0.4, so this gives you, like, you know, 50% of your bullets hitting, which I think is pretty effective. Your R is going to be 0.5, T 1, so half T. You can change T if you really want to, and D is just the distance from you to the target. So now that we know those things, and we know that theta is our error angle, which we get from up here, what we can do is we can find out the, you know, effective range of the assault rifle. So the assault rifle at full auto has an error of 3 degrees. That's how much our fire is going to be skewed by. So we just take half of our T, which is 0.5, over tan of 3, and did this earlier. Tan of 3, and then invert that. Where's that button? And basically what you get is roughly, I'll put it in purple because that's what the variable is 9.5 meters. So at full, well, meters, world units. So basically what you have here is Master Chief wants to put half his bullets on target. He needs to be 10 world units away from this brute here. And that's how error works. Yeah, I think what are we at here? Like, yeah, 15 minutes almost. That's crazy. So brain doesn't want to work. Next video, I'm just gonna continue with this pretty much. I won't be talking about error. I'm gonna be talking about recoil is pretty similar to error, to be honest. And then there's also things like barrels, triggers, and magazines are pretty important. And then also like what projectile it uses. So that'll be next one. Thanks for watching. If you want me to like slow down or just explain things better, just let me know in the comments or something. Yeah, thanks for watching.